Hello everyone, welcome to our channels. My name is Alina and this is Julia.
Hi guys, welcome.
Today we want to talk about this phenomenon or self-identification named multipotentialite. A couple of weeks ago, Julia messaged me.
Yeah, I don't know. I experienced sort of the struggle balancing out between different passions that I have, right? Between music and between painting and between making money, right? So at one point I felt a little bit overwhelmed and I felt like I want to hear somebody else who might be going through the same thing, right? And honestly, in our environments, there's tons of people who are experiencing kind of this struggle, having too many passions. But I knew that Alina is one of those creative minds who is dealing with multiple things at the same time. That's why I reached out to her. And that's how our research and journey started. And that's how I personally discovered the word multipotentialite.
You're welcome, Julia.
Here we go. So tell us, what does it mean?
You don't know about this term until you kind of actively start researching about it. Until you question yourself, is something wrong with me? Like, why am I starting so many different passions? Why am I doing so many hobbies? But I don't want them to be just hobbies. I want them to turn into potential business. I want to make a living out of it. But I'm kind of jumping from one thing to another, and I'm developing myself, mastering myself in just one topic, and then I switch to another and another, and I try to combine them. At some point, I started questioning myself, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Why am I this way? So this is how my journey started, and I discovered this amazing TED Talk by Emily Vapnik. I hope
we're gonna include the link in the description.
Yeah, and she was actually talking about this phenomenon, about this word, about this description of people who actually have multiple passions. And I guess this is how I spiraled into this whole rabbit hole, discovering what it is and does it apply to me. Yeah, so I guess that's how I discovered it. So basically, multipotentialite is a person who has multiple passions and who can successfully manifest himself through those multiple passions.
Yeah, because it's one thing just to be talented in many things, but another thing is actually to pursue them, right? So
yes,
multipotentialite is somebody who's actually pursuing multiple passions, right?
Yes.
So I think it will be helpful for everyone if we tell a little bit about ourselves, right? And what are the passions that we are pursuing. So I call myself an artpreneur, right? So I work in the area of multiple arts and multiple mediums. So first of all, I'm a multimedia artist, and a year ago I opened my art school and a studio called Art in Around in Toronto. My goal was to create a safe space for everyone to express themselves, to discover their inner self, to pursue their creativity, imagination. So I work with multiple mediums, including glass, watercolors, acrylics, mural, clothing, furniture, resin, and with every single medium, I unlock a new language, a new world for myself, right? So I teach multiple mediums as well. So that's one part of my life, right? Another part of my life is music. So I have a band called Las Mariposas. So we perform in Toronto, we have shows, we record stuff, we release things. So that's another side of my life, right? And then obviously there are other passions that I have, like dancing, photography. I wouldn't say that I pursue them that much of a full time, but they still are in my life. And then there is another side of my life, which is the branding, digital marketing, and everything related to that kind of business, the social media marketing, right? It's still a part of my life because I feel like it just adds extra value to my work. And obviously I feel like the smart way to organize your financial strategy is to develop for yourself multiple channels of income, but we're gonna talk about this later. So that's a little bit about my multiple passions that I'm pursuing. They are in my life and I'm trying to balance them out always.
And we'll find out how that goes later.
We'll find out. Tell us about you.
Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Alina, and I'm an artist. Still not artpreneur because I still need to learn from Julia how to do the business side of it. But I can definitely say that I'm an artist because I do web design, 3D.
My website, Art in Around,
Yeah.
is developed by this woman. So
So yeah, I'm doing like design, web design, graphic design, content creation. Photography is also a huge part of my life, where I'd like to grow myself as an entrepreneur as well. Beside that, I have like a couple like business projects that I kind of don't highlight them on social media because I want them to be just like separate from like my, I guess, online identity. And beside that, I just have like those like little glimmers of my life where I, for like different hobbies that I pick up, and then I think, can I actually like monetize them? Can I make a business out of it? Yeah, and before that, Julia also knows I was into life coaching. I was helping people to reach their goals and set up goals using different psychological techniques, how to achieve your own potential, and just, I guess, provide some support for other artists who are just emerging and they are just trying to build a name for themselves. So I guess that's like short version of.
And there are many different industries, right?
Yeah, different industries, different like side things that are going on in my life. We also have like an art studio with my boyfriend where I make sculptures. So yeah, I'm just like bombarding you with like, you're very streamlined. You know how, like, you already know, like, you position yourself. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
So that's good because everybody can see how different multi-potentialites are dealing with this and going through different stages, right?
Yeah,
because
I think you can say that.
because I guess a big part of it is also understanding the priorities, right? What needs to be out there, what you might like kind of keep for yourself, what is a good potential for monetization, and what is just like a good side hustle, right?
Yes.
So this is a whole other conversation. So actually, why don't we talk about difficulties that we experience, right? Because there is a lot of beauty about being a multi-potentialite, and we're going to talk about this later as well. But for now, let's start with difficulties, because it sounds beautiful, like you're talented and you can do many things, but actually it has its own kind of challenges that we all experience.
I think the main challenge about being multi-potentialite is actually burning out, because you're trying to do it all,
and you invest 100% of you in every single thing.
You invest 100% of you in everything that you do, and it's so easy to burn out because you just don't stop. What happens with multi-potentialites? So when you're feeling like you're burning out with one activity, you're like, well, I should just switch to another activity and I won't burn out.
Instead of taking a break.
Yeah, instead of taking a break, and you just like, you jump into another activity and do it, and then you feel like, okay, I'm burning out again. And then you jump to another activity, and then you're just like, you're so tired, and you can even feel like some signs of depression or burning out. And I guess it's very important to like stop yourself and take a little rest. Yes, so burnout is like one of the, I guess.
And I think it's a big one, right? Because even if you don't have multiple passions, for our current society, taking a break, doing nothing, it's like something is wrong, right? So while you're having multiple things that you're dealing with, you are actually doubling or tripling the energy investment. Having a normal, solid break, like 100% break and rest from everything, is super important, right? But there's always this pressure. Oh, can I actually do nothing today? Is it allowed? So I think that's an important factor. In my case, because most of these passions, they kind of turn into a business, especially the visual arts that I have, the studio and the school and the band. I think it's about creating relevant brand and positioning yourself, right? And now there are many marketing tools how we can position ourselves and build that identity. However, well, you know that there is a social media, but you can manage just as many pages, right? You cannot manage all of them and invest 100% of your time and effort into every single thing. So for me, it's understanding how to build that brand on social media, right? So I feel like YouTube, for example, allows us to cover a little bit more and tell a bigger story. While Instagram, for example, you need to have more or less focus. So when your client, when your customer,
a niche more or
exactly.
less.
So when your client opens up your page, they don't need to struggle. Oh, what is she doing? Especially if it's like a school or a band, right? They need to have a clarity what's going on there. So obviously it requires a lot of time, and the content creation for every single thing is different. If your goal is to achieve is to get new clients, new leads, to bring it to the next level. So I'm not crying, it's just the rain. It's difficult, but not to that extent. So I guess, yeah, the challenge of positioning yourself, and here there's the marketing skill that actually helps, trying to prioritize those industries. What helps me is literally sitting down and writing down the plan for every single page, for every single channel, what I want to communicate through the YouTube, through the Instagram, what's the purpose of this page, what's the purpose of this page. So literally sitting down, writing them down, and understanding the purpose of every single page on every single social media platform, because it can be overwhelming. And it's okay, I'm gonna validate it right now, it's okay if not every single passion brings you money. And we're gonna talk about this later. It's okay. Moreover, it's normal.
Yeah.
So if you feel like your 90% of efforts going towards one passion, that's fine. Whatever you have left, allocate it to another one, right?
So yeah, another challenge, and it's kind of close to how Julia explained social media, where you had to have clarity for yourself first, like what's the purpose of this channel or this channel, how do you position yourself. I guess the big challenge is to focus yourself, because it's so easy to just try and grab this activity.
Spread yourself too thin, right?
Yes, spread yourself too thin, trying to do multiple things simultaneously, but you gotta understand that some things can even be seasonal, which is fine. So for example, like for me with photography, it's very seasonal. Like I mostly do photography in the summer. You gotta understand that you have to have clarity before you have clarity in social media and positioning and purpose in social media. You have to understand the purpose of like your activity. So you need to have a plan for your life, for your work. You have to create a system that will benefit you. And there are so many tools nowadays that you can create this system. So for example, like Notion planning or spreadsheets or different tasks, to-do lists, whatever. Like it's so many systems that you can create, but you need this system so that it takes the pressure away from you deciding on a spot, okay, so what do I want to do now, right? And to be fair, if you want to do something professionally, you need a plan. You can't just like wake up this day, oh, today I want to be like a painter. Like you still need a plan. And I think this is the greatest challenge of people who are just entering this stage where they accept that they can actually do multiple passions. It was the case with me, to be honest. Before that, I would feel kind of like guilty or thinking that something was wrong with me. But when I actually started like accepting that it's okay and I can actually be successful in that, the greatest challenge was that I didn't know how to systemize myself. I was like, well, I'm an artist. I can just like flow wherever wind takes me, but I think it's not the right direction.
Systematic, yes.
It's not like
systematic.
You can only do it for so long. But when you actually start having goals towards your career, towards your work, you need like something systematic. Yeah.
Well, the world knows a lot of great painters like Salvador Dali, right, and other ones. And usually they could not create the system for themselves. So they needed somebody else, like a family member, right, to create it for them. But because we live in a different time now and we all are kind of, it's good to be independent. You can create it yourself or get an outsider organization or person or somebody who will help you to systemize it. But in order to build that system, you need to try, right? At least that's the step number one. Instead of building all that plans in your head and thinking, oh, will it work? Will it work? I think the right thing to do, first of all, is just to give it a try. Because if you don't try, you never know if it works for you, if it makes you feel good, bad, right? So first you have to experience multiple ways, and then based on that to build a system, which I agree with.
Because sometimes you can even find out, you will try to do all those multiple things, and then you will realize that it's actually not for you. You would just like the idea of this freedom of like, I can do everything, right?
So I think the good conclusion here would be, it's okay if things change, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Don't feel too attached to a certain idea of who you are. It's okay that things change because we are dynamic and life is dynamic. And another challenge that I think that we all experience, there is a certain social pressure, right, coming from the outside world. It can come from your family, from your friends, from the online community. Like, hey, what are you doing? Why don't you just choose one thing and become good at this? Are you doing too much, right? So all of those questions, they might be overwhelming at first because 99% you're gonna face certain pressure coming from there. And I feel like the only way to deal with this is eventually, with experience, to build up this unbreakable self-confidence. right? To trust yourself, to trust your God, your skills, your talent, and no matter what, keep doing your stuff. And I know that it sounds easy, which is not really, and it might take years of therapy, of mental work, of exercises, and of all of those things to develop this inner confidence. But I think it's absolutely necessary if you are a creative mind, if you are a multi-potentialite, and you need to focus on your own self-expression, because when you create things and you think of other people, it's not your art anymore, it's not your creation anymore, right? So understanding that, yeah, there will be a social pressure, somehow preparing yourself for this, and then step by step developing this unbreakable inner confidence that will allow you to move forward no matter what.
Yeah, just stand your ground, I guess. But also like the term multi-potentialite. There are so many like labels nowadays that you can call yourself, but this one in particular was created. So the power of community is really great. So in order to kind of like deal with that social pressure, I think you need a community. I think this is how we actually like decided to have this conversation. Like you reached out to me and you asked the question. But before that, I reached out to other people. I searched other people who were similar to me, you know. So this was kind of like a way of dealing with that social pressure. It's finding a community. But how do you find that community? You need to identify it somehow. So this is like the word multi-potentialite. It's just a word, but it helps like-minded people to find each other and maybe discuss the struggles, discuss the life.
But obviously, being a multi-potentialite opens up the whole new universe for you, right? And it has a lot of advantages.
Definitely.
So I think the advantage number one for me personally is that it gives you a big freedom of self-expression, right? It's like you speak multiple languages, right? Painting, music, photography, dancing, these are all same energy. That's how I think about it, right? No matter which medium you use, it's still you expressing yourself, right? And you feel free because you can, one day you can choose one medium, some other thoughts are better to be expressed with another medium. So it really opens up a different universe for you. You can communicate your ideas, your thoughts better, right?
Definitely. I think another good advantage of being multi-potentialite in this day and age is the ability to adapt. Because let's be honest, nowadays life is like a roller coaster. The world changes so fast nowadays, and you need to adapt. Like new social medias emerge, new business models emerge, new way of living emerge, and many people struggle in adapting to those new things that world brings to them. And I think being multi-potentialite, this is kind of your life, right? So you adapt to new activity that you choose, you adapt to new business model that you choose, because chances are sometimes the activities that you will choose, they could be like from different areas, and in different areas you apply yourself differently. So being able to adapt is actually an asset that you naturally have, and so navigating this world is going to be so much easier for you.
And I think to your point, while adapting and also not being scared of being a beginner one more time, right?
Yes.
Because I think it's a very common fear that we're just scared to try something new because we face the risk that we might fail. Well, as a multi-potentialite, right, you face that risk every single day, right? And you start from scratch and you learn again and then build up pretty solid inner strength.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think so. Like you're not afraid to start new, because I think this is what holds many people back. They are just afraid to start new. They think they're either too old, or they don't have proper education, or so many things, right?
And to your point, adaptability, it also allows you to integrate yourself in multiple communities, right? So one day you are in the community of singers or performers, then you're also exposed to the community of painters, then you're exposed to the community of entrepreneurs, right? So actually it's a fantastic asset to broaden up your horizon and expand your network and include into your network people from absolutely different areas.
Yeah, I think it also teaches you empathy in a way, because the broader, like the greater the circle of your community is, the greater sense of like empathy and understanding to other people you have. You just develop it naturally because you are immersed into that community.
I think another point that makes being a multi-potentialite so special is that your life has so many colors, right? You add such a massive variety to your life, to your days. you can't really get bored, because you know, if one day you get bored from doing one thing, you can gently switch to another one, and then gently switch to another one, obviously balancing everything out. So I think it adds that extra spark to your life, right? So you don't get stuck, because you know that there is always something interesting out there. So it also boosts your curiosity as a human being, and I think that curiosity is that sense, that skill that makes us young, professional, talented, inspired, and all of those things that are essential, right? So being a multi-potentialite allows you to live life with more flavors.
Another, I think, great advantage of being multi-potentialite, naturally, like when you're evolving as a professional, when you're evolving as multi-potentialite, the natural path is you become a leader. How it happens? You have so many ideas, so this is your greatest strength, like idea generation, and this is your superpower, right? So you harness it and you breathe in those ideas into life. But in order to be able to manifest all your ideas, I think naturally you learn how to delegate, because there's only so many hours in a day, there's only so many resources, there's only so many activities you can do yourself, right? So naturally you learn how to delegate, you learn how to bring your ideas to life with the help of your community, with the help of other people.
Or
right?
give up on ideas that
Or give up on ideas,
are
right?
not really important.
So like a leader, he kind of like filters all his ideas, right? So not every idea is great, right? You have to test it out, right? And great leaders, I think they know how to filter it out and only push through those great ideas with the help of other people, with the help of delegating, with the help of actually building those systems that help them run their business.
So guys, I guess the point is, being a multi-potentialite is beautiful, and it can have its own challenges. And we know that it can be hard, and we've been through this, right? That's why we're here for you. That's why we want to share
We're
this
still
story.
going through it.
We're still
It's
going
like
through that. It never
evolving
ends,
process,
because
yeah.
it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and that's why we share. So I guess if we wanted to summarize our experience and give you a couple of conclusions, right? Main ideas: focus on yourself and really trust yourself. Trust your gut, right? Only you know what you need in order to be happy and a fulfilled person. So yeah, you might face lots of struggles and challenges and judgment and tension, but trust yourself and follow your passions, right? Make that step. It's always tough at the beginning, but once you make the one single step, lots of fear and anxiety just disappears, because usually we are stressed and we experience anxiety about things that haven't happened yet, right? It's like, what if? So once you make that first step and follow your inner self, follow your inner voice, I think that makes the whole journey much easier. And then, well, you know, sometimes you just need to give it a try and to see what happens.
Yes, exactly. It's about knowing your own nature. Don't underestimate the power of community. We need this. We thrive on community, right? We need to feel that we're not alone in our struggles or in our goals or in the way that we are, right? So don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to discuss this topic. Maybe ask your friend, ask your art community, ask your...
Message us at the end. You have all the social media links, so we are always open for new connections, for friends. Reach out to us. At a certain stage of your journey, if you feel like it's the time to bring it to the next level and convert it into the business, that's nice. And that's the whole new experience, because, well, you know, when you have multiple passions, you might find it challenging. Oh, how to figure out which one is the right one to convert it into the business. So I guess here we have to be really strategic, and you won't know until you try. So in my case, right, I tried multiple times. I gave my 100% to music. I gave my 100% to visual arts, right? So it's all about testing, experimenting, and finding the right logistics, the right balance. So in my case, for example, right, so visual arts, like painting and teaching, became actually a full-time business for me, right? The school and the studio and the concept work. And I figure out that, for example, in the case with music, it doesn't really work when I put all the pressure on this type of art in terms of like making money. So I realized it, I felt it, so now I have this as a big part of my life, but I don't expect to make income out of this, right? So it's okay if one of your passions become the main source of kind of, you know, your money, your business, it's okay if two of them become that sources. If all of them, or if none of them, that's also fine, right?
Yeah.
So understanding what works, but the only way to understand it is through trying it. Be strategic, test things out, prioritize things, and find what works for you specifically.
And don't forget to have fun. This is the best part of this journey. Having fun, right? Stay curious. Find things that ignite your soul. Find your passions. It's okay if there are multiple passions. It's okay if there's only one passion. Just stay curious. Experiment, right? Just don't forget to enjoy it. Don't forget to have fun. This is your life. This is your journey of self-discovery. So enjoy the ride.
It's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right?
Yes.
So that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you guys.
For your attention. Please follow us, follow our channel. Feel free to connect with us on social media. We're open to new friendships and new connections. Students, to have a fabulous day, and thanks again for being with us for this last couple
Thank you
minutes.
again, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.